Welcome to another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today, I'm so excited to have on a 38-year-old from Stockport, England, a staple with Ultra Cham, Tigers and Aces, broke into the EIHL with the Manchester Phoenix and London Racers, then became a legend with the Sheffield Steelers. 1 KO Cup, 3 playoff championships, 3 league championships, and he suited up with them from about 2005-ish to 2015, earning him a testimonial with Great Britain's national team, 1 bronze, 2 silvers, and it appears he has also been in some type of an erotic hockey photo shoot. Welcome to the shed, Mark Thomas.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so I get into how we know each other, and I guess we never talked before, right?
No, not really. Maybe, not in a nice way to each other anyway.
No, yeah, maybe there was a couple FUs during a hockey game, right?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much in passing.
Yeah, I could see that. But you did send your photos for the poster, so I want to know about this picture here. So you guys were naked on the ice. What, 6, 7 of you?
Yeah.
Episode 71, Jono, and episode 54, Leggy, were both in this photo, folks.
Yep, they were. And
explain.
This was probably first couple of years in Sheffield, and there's been a bit of a change in the way they were recruiting and all this kind of stuff. And obviously, as you can tell, Leggy turned up, and another guy who was quite popular called Randy Dagenet. I'd highly recommend getting him on here because he has got some great stories. It was actually it was for a charity. All the fact that they had a calendar that they were selling off, raising money for probably, I think it was one of the hospitals around Sheffield each year, and they had all the firemen and Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday players. And we got the short stick as well. So, we were fully naked on the ice. The thing was, there was obviously the people taking photos, but the funny thing about that story was there was a guy with a camera running around videoing it, and he spent more time behind us than he did in front of us. So I'm not quite sure what was going on there.
Yeah, I was curious just how many people were in the rink, right? It is different, like in the UK compared to in Canada. Like in Canada, you can't show your junk to any women anywhere. But like I remember in the big blue tent, there were ladies that were working for the doctors or the masseuses, and there were just, everything was out there, right?
Yeah, well, obviously that was in the arena, and like they had like the box office, so there's people coming into the box office to just buy tickets to concerts, and we're 6, 7 guys running around the ice in our skates and nothing else.
So here you guys explaining that when it's cold in the arena, it doesn't help us.
We went well through that before we even get down. So yeah, it was.
I was in the pool. Oh man. So I was in an erotic photo shoot in Germany. You guys were 1 month. We did the full year. But they never released the calendar. So it took me starting up a podcast a decade later to get the photos, but I have them now. I'm just not allowed to post them.
Right. Yeah, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. I mean, like we also had, just diversing a little bit. You played Juice Boy at the end of practice. Yeah. Well, we played Strip Juice Boy once when we were in London, and it didn't end well for a few guys, put it that way.
So what I'm picturing here then is whoever loses at Juice Boy, then you play some music and he has to strip on the ice.
You missed, you had to take.
Sorry, you froze a second. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So you play shootout, and then if you miss, you had to take an item of clothing off or an item of equipment off. And obviously, the lower it went, the more they came off, and it ended up with one guy in his jock, and that was it. that was a good memory.
I remember playing Spray Tan Boy, and Richie lost, and he had to get a spray tan.
That'd suit him well.
Yeah, he looked great, actually. Okay, so that's how we know each other. Is we've both been in somewhat erotic photo shoots, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then I guess Steelers versus Devils, 2014-15. I remember playing against you.
Was that your?
You just cut out again.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I say, yeah, I remember obviously coming up against you. Was that your first year in the old elite league?
That was pretty much my only year. I only played there for that year, and then I lasted till November the next year, and then my knee went.
Yeah, because that was my last year, so I thought you were around for a few more. But yeah, it was that was a good year. Obviously, yeah, it was obviously you guys won the Challenge Cup that year
against you guys. Yeah.
And then I think another thing I came to my memory the other night thinking about that is you beat us on the Saturday, the Sunday in the Challenge Cup, and then we had to play you on the Tuesday. I think you guys were still drunk because we smashed you about 11-1 or something like that.
I wouldn't say we were still drunk, but I would say the energy levels were a bit lower than usual.
Little low.
Little low. Yeah, actually, fun fact is the Devils are still not allowed back to that hotel. So way to go, guys. Really let them know we were there.
Yep.
But yeah, then you guys ended up winning the league in front of us. I remember you guys you were skating around with the trophy in front of us. I was just livid.
Yeah. Well, it's never nice when that happens, is it? But it's
everybody talks about the 14-1 game or whatever it was. Like, boo-hoo, guys. We won a championship anyways, but we still lost that game at the end of the season to you where you won the trophy, right? Like, why didn't we just win that game?
Win a trophy as well. So that wasn't too bad from your point of view. Like that was what rallied us up and probably helped us kick on towards the end of the season, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I guess both years I was in Cardiff. So that year we played, and then the next year you're gone. And that's when I get hurt. I'm just a pregame speaker, but we lost to the Steelers by 2 points again the next year. Brutal.
Yeah. Well, it changed a little bit there, didn't it? And obviously, I think we had a change of coach after that year as well. Paul Thompson came in, and I think he came in and did pretty well, I think, and they managed to win it for a few. I think the thing that was quite funny was every year we had a testimonial. They won a championship as well, so that was pretty special for the guys.
So when was yours? The year after you left?
Mine was that year there, the 14-15, and then the following season was Jason Hewitt. He had his.
And I got him written down. We'll get into him in a second, but
I got plenty of.
Who all did you bring back for yours then?
So I had like Randy Dagenet, Steve Munn, Leggy was obviously.
Jeepers, you cut out again.
And came back, and then who else came over? Jody Lehman. You ever heard of him?
Yeah, oh yeah. So that's another way of how we know each other. Actually, is I would have played against you before 2014. We came over with the Bietigheim Steelers in 2008.
Yeah. So you played at Sheffield then, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we came over to you guys as well, but I don't know how long you were in Bietigheim for.
I think you guys came over to Germany the year before, and then we came back the next year.
That was it. Yeah, that was one of the best trips we went on. I think we went over there to play pre-season.
You
played 22 minutes. Big power cut in the Bietigheim's rink, and the game got cancelled, so we went straight out on the lash and got to know each other as a group of boys.
And that's what you got to do, especially at the start of a season. That is the biggest thing. I bet you guys probably won the championship that year.
Yeah, I think we might have done. Yeah, like that was honestly Jonna is still there to this day, and the first thing he says is, when everyone's in town, we're going to go out and have a few beers and just get to know each other. And you don't quite. Some people don't quite realize how important that is to.
The start of the seasons might be the most important time. Is that first month. And you can't have anybody that shows up and gets crushed and acts like an idiot and starts crap, right? And then your season's not good. If you show up and all the boys get along and are having a time and you learn to love each other, and next thing you know, you're eating pucks for each other and doing whatever, right?
Do whatever it takes, don't you then? So you're like brothers at the end of the day. So
Yep. Okay. Where and what are you doing now?
I am gone into my family business, and I work.
What's that?
So we own it's like a specialized attachment. So anything that goes up on the end of a digger that attaches hydraulically to the digger. So demolition equipment into like all the small kind of equipment and stuff like that. So pretty much anything that would rip down an ice rink in about 20 minutes that goes on a big demolition. Imagine like big scissors or big pulverizers that eat concrete.
So you guys are manufacturing it? And
no, so we're like a hire and a sales fleet. So we represent other companies and sell them in and around the UK and around Manchester. So it's good. It's good fun. But you know what? I thought about what the questions that you were going to ask me, and I really struggled to transition from playing hockey into that. And I know I've heard your podcast before. I've heard you talk about how and this is why you're doing this, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Oh God, yeah, dude. You know what happened to me was I had to renew my health card, and it was from 5 years ago. My picture.
Yep.
The picture from this year compared to 5 years ago was like a different person. Like when I first retired, that photo I would have taken when I just got back, I look like the most miserable, fat loser you've ever seen. I can't believe my wife still had to kiss me.
Yeah, and you know what? Like it's more difficult than a lot of people think about, and you can't really think about it until you're in that position, can you? And it's too late almost.
And like you can try and explain it to the active players, and you can try and like let them know what's going to be like, but they're doing their thing and they don't like, they're not going to get, you don't get it until you get it.
Like Ron Schuder saying things like that to us when we were kids, and we're like, yeah, whatever, we'll never be like that. And then before you know it, click your fingers and you are that. Yeah. So it's yeah, it can be tough, and I definitely struggled with it. It's something I haven't talked about much, but definitely 100% found it hard getting up, going to work, and being on a completely different routine with kids. And
yeah, no, it's yeah, no, and it's there's a lot of guys around our age that all kind of retired around that same year, and yeah, it is a grind, man. Like when like that's all you've known.
I felt I probably could have played a few more years, but I also knew in the back of my mind that I had the real world coming up there, and I figured I suppose at that point if I get into it now, it might help me further down the line on that side of things. So yeah, that was a part of my driving force into going into what was the new. Not that I really wanted to, but
well, I'll be honest, I'm kind of thankful my knee went, because I would have got into the routine a lot of guys do, where you just keep going back for a year because it's easier. You're getting paid more than you would in the real world, but like you got to start at some point. And I think it's easier to transition in your early 30s than around 40. And there's more opportunities, but like it's a grind, man. And then you got to find someone that'll take a chance on you, whether it's family or people you meet. I got very, very lucky, man. My story of the way it all went is so ridiculous that I've never explained it. But basically, I was at the playground in my neighborhood with the kids, and I met a guy, and we just got shooting the breeze. And I told him my story of how like I moved here to work at one place, but I wasn't getting in because I had no experience, and my wife can't work in Canada. I've been playing hockey. I got no job and like 2 kids. And and then anyways, he said, well, my company's got jobs. And I'm like, well, I heard that place you travel a lot. He goes, well, there's some jobs that do, some that are right here. And then anyways, I end up working for this company, and they're just fantastic people. I had to go out, and like they didn't know where I was going to fit in the company, and then they had to draw or quit. So then I started drawing, and then I got better at that. And then next thing I knew, I get to be the supervisor. And it's like the way it all turned out when I moved to a rural place in the middle of nowhere, and that it's all worked out for my family, is a lot of thanks to that neighbor of mine that just retired.
There you go. It's some nice people out there pointing you in the right direction and send you on a different path, isn't there, at the end of the day? And
sometimes you need to get thrown a bone, right?
That's it. That is it. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I was with Johnny yesterday, actually, Jonathan Phillips. His kids were playing against my kids in under 14s hockey in Manchester last night. So yeah,
how'd it go?
The Sheffield won, to be fair. So
you cut out.
Game. Yeah, it was a pretty good game. They won 7-4, and they've just introduced now since Christmas like contact into under 14s hockey. So yeah, it got a bit feisty last night. So it was it was good fun though. The kids have got to learn, haven't they, and all that kind of stuff. So
so how many kids do you have?
I've got 2. One of them is in hockey. He's 13, and he's nearly as tall as me now. He wears the same size shoes as me. And and then the other one doesn't really want to play hockey anymore. So I'm not going to force him to play. If he doesn't want to play, he doesn't play. He's too involved in Fortnite, I think, which is a big problem. But that's it is.
They can get into that, man. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that is it. So no, he doesn't want to play, so I won't force him into it. And Jonna had 2 kids playing yesterday, but I actually got Jonna to come sit and open the penalty box in the away end yesterday, so I could me and him. I was doing the clock. It was my turn to run the clock. So we must have played about 7 minutes extra yesterday because we forgot to hit the start button because we were too busy talking.
Oh yeah, when you see each other, it's just like you haven't missed a beat, right? That's how it is with every guy. Yeah. And it's like, we've never even met. I feel like
We know
been
each
on
other.
the back of the bus with you before. But I haven't explained this yet, is the Sundin jersey in the background. This is the first podcast with that in the shed here. So episode 93, Greg Hotham, Andrew Hotham and Scott Hotham's old man from the Cardiff Devils. So when he came to the shed, he explained he was the president of the Leafs Alumni Association.
Really?
And I said, well, I'd like to raise money for charity. And I explained my my nephew had heart surgery in the last year or two. And they did a great job at Toronto Sick Kids, and I'd like to raise money for them and whatever. And this showed up in the mail this week. And so we're doing a 50-50 draw, and we're going to raise money for Toronto Sick Kids for the great job they did for my nephew. So there you go. Raffle is at aleshockeytales.com, folks.
Hopefully they raise a lot of money.
Exactly. Okay. Anyways, so the research team saw you're not just working at the family business, you're also the director of player development of the Manchester Storm.
So yeah, on my LinkedIn profile, that's what it says. Yeah. So yeah, I've been involved with the Storm just like since Finna came over there. And if I'm being brutally honest, like I've not really been involved in hockey since when I say it like that, on that side of it, really that much since my wife passed away a few years ago. And just because, you know, my world's changed a lot, and I don't have as much time to go to the rink and coach the kids and see all that. But yeah, they when Finna came over and they took over the Storm, I was helped him being involved with all that kind of stuff and between the Storm and the Storm Academy, and it's something that they've been working on for probably 4 or 5 years now, and hopefully they might start seeing the benefit of it. And you know, in the next few years, where they have a couple of kids that are, you know, the kids are starting. The odd one of them is going to go out practice out with the Storm on the pro team, and it's just a steady stepping stones for the kids that they're being taught stuff that, you know, in this country I don't feel that we have enough links to the juniors. You know, like there's team pro teams in the same rink as a junior team, and there's literally no, you know, affiliation to them. And the kids all have goals, don't they? And they aspire to be these players that they're their heroes, if you like. And in Manchester, you know, the players come out on practice twice a week. So they just do a rota, and they're always out practicing with the kids, pointing them in the right directions, and hopefully that pays off in the next few years. So
no, it's huge. And when people are willing to give back to the game, it sure helps everything. Like I had Chris Menard. We're in lockdown, or our team's not allowed to play right now, which is baloney. But anyways, Chris Menard put on a Zoom practice for my team. Like, you know, I just asked him and he would do that for me. It's just good people giving back to the game. It gives the kids something to aspire to, right?
Yeah, 100%, you know, and like you say, they've got their heroes that are in the NHL, they've got their heroes that are in the EIHL, and well,
apparently some of my U11 kids, their heroes are now on the Cardiff Devils. I heard Evan, who was on the podcast, is just watching Cardiff Devils YouTube videos of fights from 2014-15. Yeah,
well, that might be one. I might be on there getting beat up somewhere along the line.
So did you fight anybody from Cardiff?
Yeah, that year. Did you have a kid called Mai-chan?
Yeah, Jesse Mitchin. Yeah.
So the first game in Cardiff, I
wouldn't want to fight him.
I don't know. I did all right in that one, actually. I think it was a short one, but I did all right. And then I think the second one, we were in Cardiff, and we had I think we were about 3 up after coming towards the end of the first period, and there was like a bit of a scrum in front of the net, and I had Hotham grabbing me from the front. I had who was the big guy called? What's up front? I can't remember the tall guy. Doug
Clarkson
on one side and Hendrich on the other side. And I looked to my left and I was like, well, he's tough. And I looked at Hendrich and I was like, and I know he's definitely tough. Yeah. And I was like, well, Hotham, I don't know if you're tough, but I know you can score goals, so I'll fight you. And then ended up squaring off with him.
There was quite a few guys on that Devils team that could go.
Yeah, you had to be careful who you picked. And I ended up that year, for some reason, I ended up getting in about 4, 5, 6 fights.
Is that right? There was a lot of fighting that year.
Finner even phoned me after that game. He was like, I've got Zach Fitzgerald asking who you are. And I'm like, just tell him I am nobody and I am not going near him.
By the way, speaking of Zach Fitzgerald, that guy just made the shed like legitimate on YouTube. I've never had anybody watch the YouTube videos, and he put out a tweet saying I had done a great job with his clan buddies. And next thing I knew, that YouTube of that episode was at like 500 views in a day.
Oh, mega, yeah, that's good. And he's, you know what, I've got to know him since then actually as well, because he came to Sheffield the following year. And,
well, he's got a powerful Twitter following. My goodness.
Yeah. He's a good guy, great guy as well. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to go off down that route.
Yeah,
because it would not have ended well.
No, that is the last guy I'd want to fight.
Myself, if you like. No,
the last guy. Okay, so getting into hockey in Stockport, England, how did it happen?
It started with roller hockey, basically.
That's how I was a roller hockey enthusiast too.
Yeah. So I started playing roller hockey just locally on the street and in like a little rec center there, and got onto the local team there. And then the Manchester Storm were quite big at that point. Like in the 90s, they were pulling in 18,000 into the MEN Arena in the center of town. And I always used to go to those games, and then figured I'd go down to the local rink. And ended up down.
Stockport is in like Manchester then?
Yeah, so it's where Altrincham is. So do you know where Manchester play now? So did you ever play in Altrincham or not?
Yeah, like where the storm shelter is.
Yeah, the storm shelter.
I've done pregame speeches there.
It's like
I think I played one game there.
You know, it's basically the equivalent of Cardiff in Manchester, or the big blue tent in Manchester.
No, I loved it. Great. I had a great time there.
Yeah, but they were playing in another arena right in the center of town, which held like 18,000 people. So it was like pretty big. Like everyone in town we used to go to it, and it was all this. So that's how I got into it originally, and then obviously went to try out at Altrincham for the under-19s, and that was where I got my first meeting with a certain Mr. Hewitt. And,
so I got him written down here because the research team was hot, and it looks like he has like the same path. You guys both were an ultra cham. Ultra cham. Okay. And then you both were with Manchester Phoenix and Telford Wild Foxes, London Racers, then to Sheffield, and then you both become legends there and both win a bunch of stuff, and then both have testimonials. So it's like you guys did the same thing, eh?
We basically we might have only played 3 games against each other in our whole career. Like we have literally we sort of mirrored each other all the way through.
Weird, eh?
And you know what we worked hard on. We were in Altrincham as kids, and then we got the opportunity to go to Phoenix, where the league changed its structure.
So you're saying the rink you grew up playing in is the Storm Shelter?
No. It was another rink around the corner from that. But because it was, Altrincham has always had an ice rink, and then they wanted to demolish it for houses, that they had to put another one in place, basically, because they didn't want to get rid of it. That's how you end
up with circus tents in Cardiff Bay.
Basically the same sort of thing, yeah. And me and Huey, it was actually another rink just around the corner that is no longer there. It's just a bunch of houses right now, but that's where it started. And then we ended up going. We got an opportunity to go to the Phoenix because they changed the rules where they had to have a minimum of 5 British players in the team. It was when the Elite League started, and then we made that team, and then after a season, that team went bump, or they sort of were defunct and shut down. So we actually got. I remember me and Huey both got a phone call from a guy called Dennis Maxwell.
No.
Yeah, he'd be worthwhile getting on it. He's got some stories as well.
Well, I'd like you to put in a good word with Huey. I always liked. I thought he was a competitor. I like playing against him. He could get.
Yeah, he was. He loved it, didn't he? The old bulldog. So he used to love it. So, but Maxwell played in Cardiff. So you should maybe get him on.
Okay. There's a lot of people to have on. I tell you, it's hard to keep up.
I tell you. So yeah, and then he pulled us in and took us down to London, and we just in London. Like we had just one hell of a team, and I'm talking just meats everywhere.
I saw the lineup. I couldn't believe some of the names on that team. Eric Cairns,
Jason Robinson, Jeremy Cornish, like you name it. It was just like 7-8 deep, and all we used to do was just try and beat people up.
So they would have paid them a lot of money then to come over, and that's why they go tits up halfway through the year.
I don't know. Like they had. it was when the lockout that, so they're all looking for teams to play for, right? So they had a few NHLers in the year, or a few NHL tough guys playing in the league that year. But yeah, I think they played a few. They had something else going on with, I don't know whether it was a lawsuit or something, where a kid got hit and he fell down the boards and the rink staff hadn't screwed the screws in flush, so it was out like this. And as he came down, he ripped his cheek. So I don't know whether there was some kind of law. I mean, I'm probably saying something there that they didn't ever want to hear, but I've just said it now, so it's too late. Yeah. And and there was some kind of lawsuit going on that they just thought it was best to fold the team. So, halfway through the second season, me and Huey are sat here with no team again. And
I was going to ask you what it was like playing in London. Like that would, like, being right downtown. It couldn't be cheap apartments for a team to be getting for players either. Like I had even to live down there for a player, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the housing just down there is just extortionate. Like we were kind of out of town in towards like East London, where the Olympic Park is now. But yeah, we were out that way in a place called Leytonstone and all like Wanstead and all these kind of places, and they were really good. Only like 20 minutes on the tube, right into the center of town. So like we'd always go out on a Monday night and head to all the nice bars in town, and where it's £1 a pint and have a few beers and then sweat it out the following morning.
Yeah, no, I remember when I came to, even in Sheffield 2008, like it was still different, right? Guys were like, there's more beers in hockey back then.
There was, in a way, but again, it works sometimes.
One thing I didn't want to skip over though is you said you started in roller. Okay, so then and by the way, episode 98.5, Ethan Frank is up for the Hobie Baker Best Player in College Hockey. He started as a roller hockey player too. Yep. And he's up for the best player in ice hockey in the NCAA right now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
So how do you go from roller to ice?
Well, I couldn't skate, that was for sure. So I got on the ice and I was playing roller hockey to a reasonable level. I played for Great Britain at roller hockey by that point as well, pretty quickly. And then it was 17. I start playing ice hockey at 17. I'd never been on the ice before that. But I literally couldn't stop. And Huey, if you ever get Huey on here, he'll tell you what I was like with a few added bits, no doubt. But I couldn't stop. So I figured.
And what age is this?
17. You
didn't start playing ice hockey till 17?
No, didn't play till 17. No.
You shut your filthy mouth. Really?
me and you play in the same league.
Yeah. I remember like in the Challenge Cup, there was a time I made a really good move. I think it was on you. And it was really hard. And I pulled it off exactly how I wanted to. And I think you still hauled me down. Should have been a penalty.
I think I remember getting up. I was sort of like holding my stick down on you, and you just levered that to get myself up. I remember. Yeah, actually.
I remember. But that you didn't even start playing ice hockey until 17. That's kind of, geez, I don't know if that's disheartening for me or really proud of you or what I feel right now.
Yeah, no, it was, but you know what? I figured if I can't stop, I might as well just run into people, right?
Yeah.
That's what I did when I was younger. And
that's how you end up getting in 5 fights that year too, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I did spend a year in Canada in a place called Banff as well. So that was
when did you do that?
The following season, but it's not on any of the stat things that you might have picked up.
No, the research team never found that.
Well, your research team won't have found that one. So yeah, I spent a
So what are you doing in Banff? How old are you then?
I played ice hockey 17 that first year when I was 17. And when I hit 18, I went to Canada and played a season over there in Junior B.
The shit you hear in the shed. And then
you
end up playing like over 10 years pro.
Yeah, pretty much.
Huh. Weird shit. Okay. Wow. I don't know. So you also played for England in the under 20s too, eh?
Yeah. So they were a team in the league, in the EPL.
Right. So did they have Team Great Britain at that point?
Yeah. So it was just basically what they did is to try and help the development of kids. They put a team in the EPL, and they would play against other teams within that league, but then all the British players, the team would change throughout the season, really, and they just pull players that weren't playing in, but they were competing in the league as well. So I don't know. I didn't really understand it back then neither. So
yeah,
it was way over my head.
Sounds confusing. But so you do end up breaking in with Manchester Phoenix, right? So that is that in the big arena?
Yeah, they were playing in the big arena that year. and they were only pulling in 3,000 people in a 17,000 seater. So
that sounds awful.
It felt pretty empty. But you know what? Some of the cool things that happened. Our first ever game was against Cardiff in their old rink, the one before the blue tent
downtown.
They scored a goal in my first pro game. Scored the Phoenix's first pro goal in a competitive game anyway. So
is that right? Hey, look at this, guys. We got trivia answers too for people in the shed, right? That's a fun fact.
You know what? I was proud of it as well.
Yeah. So that's your first pro goal in your first pro game?
I didn't. Yeah. I scored first pro goal, first pro game.
Holy cow. That is
after
cool.
that, but yeah, it was, you know what? It was, it's something to say that you've done, isn't it? And yeah, I've still got the stick upstairs. My son actually got it out of the loft the other week, and he was like, "What's this, Dad?" I was like, "That's my first ever pro goal, that one in my first pro game." So yeah, it was pretty neat to tell him that. So
yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So were the Phoenix any good? And how did you get on to the Phoenix? Because obviously it's a big jump from what you were doing before to pro.
So because they had to take British players, the Phoenix went down the route of recruiting like local players,
which was you and Huey.
Basically, yeah, they held trials and they picked 5 players out of about 35 that went on this trial. So so we went and did that, and it was, I don't know how easily we made the team or not, but yeah, we made it. And we out of the 5, me and Huey were the ones that had the longest careers, if you like.
Well, yeah, you had quite the careers, no doubt. That's cool. You did all that with someone, right? So he grew up in that same area then.
Yeah, so he was just he's about 15 minutes from where I live, and it's sort of on the other side of the rink. So yeah, the rink's in the middle of both.
But he still plays hockey, doesn't he?
I know, he's an idiot.
What is he doing? Jeepers.
I'm like, just give it up. But he is scoring like 6 goals a night.
I saw that too. The research team was hot.
Yeah,
he has over a goal a game like every year.
Yeah, I saw him the other day actually, and I was like, I've noticed you've not been getting any stars of the weeks anymore, because they do this like 3 stars of the week. And he's like, yeah, well, after the first 7 weeks, I think they feel bad they can't keep giving it me every week. So someone else is getting it now. But yeah, you know what? He's got a pretty good job as well. So he works for Bauer in England.
Really?
So it's still so.
Maybe he can even sponsor the pod, because I got nothing but great things to say about Bauer, because those were the sticks I used my whole career. My worst ever hockey playing was when I couldn't use Bauer. So
yeah, that's it. And he works them, and I'm sure if you get him on, I'm sure he'd do something with you.
Yeah,
even though I know he is.
And we can even donate to charity. We got quite the platform here now.
There you go. It's getting there.
If people want to donate something, and they get to choose the raffle or the charity of their choosing, whoever donates. So there you go. New ideas. Okay. Anyway, so then you play for a year in the EIHL. So what's that like then, finally making the jump to pro? Because it can't be easy when you're your second year ice hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much third year I think it was. But yeah,
it was that's ridiculous. Do you know that?
Yeah, it was an eye opener, that's for sure. I mean, like, we literally got on I wasn't allowed to play D that year because they didn't trust me enough, which was fair enough.
So you're 4th line right wing or what?
Yeah,
or you're a lefty.
No, we didn't have 4 lines back then. We were 3rd line. We had,
you only had 3 lines.
3 lines of forwards and 5 forwards if we were lucky. Yeah, 5D, sorry, if we were lucky. And so basically the 3rd line was made up of me, Huey, and a guy called Mark Lovell, and we only ever got on offensive zone face-offs, and if the puck came out of their end, then we had to change quickly, basically.
Isn't it funny with that too? Like, if you're only playing that much and there's only 2 other lines, and like realistically back then, pro hockey players weren't in that good of shape. So it couldn't have been the highest tempo a game. Eh?
Yeah, I think it died off, I think, quite quickly after midway through the second period. But for me and Huey, we didn't know any different, right? We're still like trying to go up and trying to catch up as opposed to coming the other way. And it was, but you know what? We met some good guys there on that team. There was some nice guys who looked after us and took us under our wing. We actually became our equipment. A funny story. Our equipment guy fell over and broke his shoulder in the ice and his elbow, so he couldn't do it anymore. So they approached me and Huey. They were like, "Can you help us out and become the equipment manager for for the rest of this, for the next like 6 to 8 weeks, which was like
So
from
it's
Christmas.
kind of like how Thomas Murdy became the equipment manager in Cardiff. Like
Basically, yeah. So we was like, we'll give you the team van and you can drive around it. So me and Huey were like, oh yeah, we'll do anything. Like we weren't really bothered. We were like, didn't do anything else during the day, so it was like happy days. So anyway, the first time comes around, we played on the Sunday night. We had the jerseys. We came in on the Monday. We knew we didn't know. Bearing in mind, we're like 19 at this time, 20. We pulled them all out the wash, threw them all in the dryer, and just hit the dry button. And they came out like a 4-year-old's jersey, basically. All the print on the back had sucked it all in and shrunk all the jersey.
Oh my God.
2 20-year-olds.
I still don't know how to do laundry, so
yeah, there you go. I just dump everything in the wash and then straight in the dryer.
Yeah.
And then I learned that I wasn't supposed to put it in the dryer after that. So,
well, hey, but that, you know what? That's the reason Sheffield won so many years is like you got to have good people to win championships, I think. And I can just tell, and you know, when I post stuff and what people write to me, I can just tell exactly the teammates you and Huey were, and why Sheffield won so much. You got you two, you got Jono, you got Leggy, which was also a dandy, and then you got the goalie Jody Lehman for a while, who was also a dandy from what I hear. So
there was a few of us. There was Rod Sarich as well,
right?
You know, he was around for a long time, still lives in England. With his
quite the core, right? And it's like what Cardiff had then after with the Joey Martins and Joey Haddads and Richie and Batchy, like the great people that are also great hockey players. And, you know,
it goes a long way and I think some of that is probably lost in today's
Are
game.
you ready for your player review yet?
Yeah, oh no.
You know that I can do player reviews just by podding with people, but I've played against you, so it's not that.
Can you not bring up that I couldn't pivot to the right?
I can only could. That's why it was a penalty, folks. It should have been a penalty. But we won anyways. No, you don't want it? It's fine.
No, go with it. Go on, give it me.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm man enough now, I think.
All right, here we go. You're a teammate kind of like Richie. You'll just do whatever the team asks of you. Like if they're like, will you block that shot with your face? You'll be like, yeah. Like, how do you want me to do it? You'll do that, but you don't want to be on the power play. You really don't. What you want is you want to be on the PK, and that's what you want. You can't wait to shut down the power play. That's what gets you going every game. You can't wait to shut down the other team's players. You know what? You didn't mind the glassing out. It's a safe play, right? It's a safe play. It's out. But you know exactly every time you got beat because it drove you nuts the rest of the day because you wanted to be very good at defending, and you knew that was your bread and butter, and that's what you did all the time was you made sure you were making the safe play. You were never going to be the reason the team was going to get scored on. You were just making it safe, and you're not, you know, you're either the 4th D man or the 5th D man, but it doesn't matter because you're going to be shutting down top players. It doesn't matter who you're out there against. You can play against anybody.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I was just willing to do whatever it took to win, as long as we won. That was the main.
You know what? There's a lot of British teammates like that.
Yeah, and you know what? I wasn't going to score goals, and I don't know what it was, but whenever I did score goals, it always seemed to be in overtime or something like that. But I think it was because in the back of my head, I was like, oh, we've got a point, so I might as well just give it a go and see what happens.
Right. Yeah. But during the game, you weren't going to do that. You're going to play it safe, and you're going to get the team the point, right?
Correct. Never take risks. But yeah, I was an expert in getting glassing out and not going for icing as well. I became an expert.
It is a talent, even on the wing too, as a right winger, that if you can chip it off the glass and kind of alley-oop it out there for the left winger, it gets some assists too, you know.
Some people don't understand how hard that is.
You know, I agree. Geez. Okay, I don't know where we're at now. Do you know?
We've done the Phoenix, and then we've gone to London a little bit and talked about that. So
we did, other than what the fans were like in London, and you guys were a team full of heavyweights. So what were the best fights you've seen? Anything wild?
I seen Eric Cairns, Wade Belak.
Oh boy!
Front row seats for that one.
For like what? For like 500 pounds a week or what? What were they?
Yeah.
What are those two guys fighting each other for the money you're making?
Oh yeah, well I remember that they did it, and then Cairns we came in the locker room after, and he said, "Well, what were you talking about when you sort of fell over?" And he was asking me, he said, I knew you hadn't taken your pills today. And he was like, oh, his happy pills, he hadn't took them today. So yeah, he was joking about that. And then I think the week later, he fought a guy called Dion Darling as well in Sheffield. I crushed someone from behind, a guy called Mark Lefebvre. Have you heard of him?
Wasn't he a coach?
Yeah, he was coaching Dundee for a while. When
yeah, nice hair, like swept
Love
over there, like
flow,
fancy suits. I remember him. Yeah,
he was playing in Sheffield. I crushed him from behind, and Darling. I was like, well, no one's going to do anything. Then Darling came in, and then Ken just grabbed Darling and give him a little bit of a beating. So well, it was a good fight actually, to be fair. And I saw some fun, like Cornish beat up Payet, and then they had about 6 fights the one year. And then Corny, every time, I think he broke his nose once. And then 2 weeks later, Payet was asking to fight him again in Coventry. And Corny was like, fought him again and just caught him with one right in the nose, dropped him. Then he went right past their bench, giving him high fives on their bench. And yeah, there's been some, it was
a whole different game, wasn't it?
It was absolute carnage. We had a huge bench brawl with Coventry once as well. Huey was out, he was in the playoffs. Huey had blown his knee the game before, so he was on the bench being head coach. And it all gone off. Everyone was all on the ice. And then
I honestly think these are the videos, and this is around the time when I'm coming to Europe or thinking about coming or whatever. And you see the videos of what's going on in the UK league on the internet or wherever, and you're like, well, I ain't going to that league.
Yeah, you're all right.
But it's amazing how they've changed the
highlight of that not a lot of people see on the video is because Huey was on the bench. Obviously things were getting said between the benches as well, and Cairns got dragged off, and like someone had thrown a stick towards the bench towards him, and Huey picked it up, and you can just see the anger in his face and just javelins it back right at Paul Thompson. So they laughed and joked about that for years at GB, but yeah, Huey was not happy about that when that came over. So yeah, not a lot of people brought that up, thank God.
Huey's a bit of a competitor. I remember playing against him. He's like a bulldog out there, eh?
Oh yeah, that was the old nickname, wasn't it, when Sheffield? So yeah.
He worked hard. Like yeah. So then you guys had a lot of fans then in that rink?
You know what? It was hard. Like we played on a Friday night at 8:30 in London. Because part of the reason it was 8:30 was because the teams couldn't get to us because of the traffic. And like, I don't know, it was we had a small core of fans. We're talking 500, 600, 700 people. That was about it. It was only a small rink that held about 1,200-1,300 people. So, I mean, in hindsight now, looking back at it, it was only ever going to go one way with, like they just weren't going to be able to make it pay. Like there was you'd have to do it big time, right? It wouldn't make sense not with the price of apartments. Then how are you going to get a big fan base? And there's so much to do in London, right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then you guys go bankrupt. So then do you guys have agents? How do you end up in Sheffield, both of you? Because they would have had a full team, right? They would have had a full team of players. So
what happened was, we've actually played in Sheffield on the Friday night. And we got told before the game, just after the game, that Sunday would be our last game. And our last game was in Cardiff. So at that point, me and Huey didn't know this, but Dennis Maxwell, who was the coach, Sheffield were having a tough time. They were going to get rid of their coach. So they interviewed Maxwell to go for that job. So bearing in mind, Maxie's on the ice on the Friday night, basically just slagging their whole team, calling them all a bunch of pussies and whatever. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that or not.
You're allowed to say whatever you want.
And then 10 days later, he's their coach.
That is how it works, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. He's just basically slagged them all down and called them all a waste of space, and then now he's their coach. So yeah, because the London team stopped. Maxie phoned me and he's like, "You want to come up? I need about a week before I can bring you in." I was like, "That's fine." So I went home to Manchester, and Maxie called me up and said, "I want you to come in now." So
well, it's all about knowing
Huey actually went. This is the only time me and Huey ever played against each other. Huey went to Basingstoke. My second game or third game for Sheffield was against Basingstoke. So like national anthems happening, and like I'm looking straight ahead of me from the blue line, and he's just see his shoulders going like this, like because we've never played against you. We're like two 14-year-olds laughing at each other. And
isn't it fun playing your buddies?
Oh,
I always had the best time playing my best buddies.
yeah, exactly. And you're always trying to have one over on each other, right? Which
I would
he
try
did.
and hit them the hardest.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is where it's leading into. So there's a little scrum broke out, and we're all tied up with like in our individuals, and it's all calming down. And I've got hold of my guy, and I'm not fighting or anything. We're just watching something else going on. I'm looking at the way. Next minute, I just get wham, suckered right out the side of my face. And I'm like, what the hell was that? Turn around, and he's just looking at me going, chuckling away to himself. And he always says to this day, that was my one opportunity just to give you something. And he just hit me as hard as he could, right from a blind side.
He punched you right in the face, just suckered you.
Right in the side right here. So I wasn't even expecting it or nothing. So yeah, it was we've laughed about it for a while, and he's always had that one on me.
Well, I don't know. It didn't drop you, right?
Yeah, there was a few things I got him back with, but I can't say them on here.
So anyways, then so you're in Sheffield, so then you find like a home there. You're there. Like then you're there the next 10 years.
Yeah. So obviously they were, we came in, and obviously that year it was me and Huey, and then Warren Tate was there. And the following season, they signed Jonna, and Jonna came up from Cardiff. And then I think that was like the start of a bit of a change for Sheffield, where they were sort of building it around almost the British guys and starting it that way. And they got a core group of players that pretty much stayed together for about 10 years.
It is wild myself, how long you guys,
yeah, myself, Jonna, Huey, Roddy came in, and Lehman was there. Yeah, Lehman, and then we had like Munna was there, Danger was there, Leggy, obviously, I mentioned Leggy before. Like there was just, we had like 6, 7, 8 guys that were just pretty much there for 10 years together, and we've all become, really good friends. And we don't all speak to each other in anger. We've got a few WhatsApp groups together that we all talk about every now and again and touch base and stuff like that. But yeah, it was the start of Sheffield trying to figure out how they were going to get back to winning again, because they'd gone a few years without winning a few trophies. So,
well, they figured it out. And
yeah, they did. They made some.
You know what? Now that we got a lot of Sheffield fans too of the Shed too, just so you know. And fun fact, folks, is I guess everybody that knows me will think this is hilarious because I am so into fashion. We have a clothing line now on the website. We're selling clothes. So everybody that made fun of my clothes all the time when they played with me throughout my career, I have hoodies, t-shirts, soon mugs, kids shirts, and they're all at the website aleshockeytales.com, where you can also buy tickets for the raffle for this Sundin jersey and the 2 Ales hockey jersey that's about to be done this weekend. But I think it's hilarious that I'm selling clothes because I still just wear all the same hockey clothes I was given.
You're one of those guys, but really bad dress sense.
I'm not. Well, you can ask around with my former teammates. Ask Matthew Myers.
Oh yeah, I'll
thinks of my suit. I didn't say suits. I said my suit. I only had one.
Yep. I made it fit every week.
Yeah. It was never dirty. So I got some questions then now that we're into the meat of this, the Sheffield time.
Yep.
Who do you think was your best coach in Sheffield?
Oh, it's a tough one. We had a lot of good coaches, but for me, it was probably Ben Simon.
Really, eh? I played with him in the AHL.
Yeah, he was really good. And at the point he came to Sheffield, like, myself, Jonna and Huey, we just had kids as well. So like we were sort of almost changing our roles within the team as well. We were going from being the young guys to being
a different thing, right? Yeah.
Being responsible adults.
Yes. It's an adjustment there too.
Yeah, it is. It was. And you know what? Yeah, he was just the way he led by example, because he was player coach as well, which is even tougher, right? And
well, I know how he plays, and it's actually quite similar to the way Andrew Lord played. And those are the only guys that can be a player coach and have the respect of a team, is the guys that can literally work harder than everybody else.
Yeah. He was the hardest working player, and he wasn't, he also was very quick to recognize when he was having a bad game, and he would bench himself. Like he did that on quite a few times, and some coaches haven't done that. You know what I mean? And he was.
I don't recall Lordo benching himself.
yeah, that might be the difference.
I remember him benching me.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, he was probably the best coach we had. And actually at that time as well, Sheffield were going through a little bit of like ownership troubles, and there was a lot of change going on, and a guy from Cardiff was trying to get involved and buy the team and change the wage structures, and we were just having none of it. So it was it was all a bit messy on the off the ice, if you like, but yeah, he definitely settled the ship and kept it going in the right direction.
I'm pretty sure he's the head coach in Grand Rapids in the AHL now, right?
Yeah, I think as well. I think, did he help out in the NHL game the other week or something? I think I saw something on.
I know he was the head coach for Chase Pearson, who's like knocking on the NHL's door with the Red Wings.
Are they affiliated to Detroit? I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. He was playing for him. Yeah,
yeah. So I'm pretty certain he went and helped with COVID. He might have, their assistant coach got COVID or whatever, and he got.
That makes sense because they're not far away in Michigan.
Yeah. I don't know anything over there, so you're pointing me in the right direction.
No, and I don't. It's like when I talk about out West Canada or out East Canada, I don't know anything because I've never been there, but I can talk Europe.
There you
go. Okay. So best coach was Ben Simon. He was only a year?
Yeah, he was only there for a year, but just the way he operated and his professionalism, he got what the players needed.
He works, he gives her. You know what? Yeah. A lot of similarities to Lordo, to be honest with you. The way they played hockey, how hard they worked on the ice would be similar to what they do off the ice.
And if you asked him for something, 9 times out of 10, he would have come back and he had it sorted for you. And that's what you can ask for, isn't it?
He was, I remember still one of my first AHL practice or whatever, we got to get in everybody's vehicles to go to the practice rink. And I got in his truck and there were car seats in the back and little mitts. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm playing with like real adults now. Because I just came out of university where it's just a party, right? And then he had car seats, and I still remember that moment when I got in the back of his truck and I was like, whoa, he's like a dad.
This stuff is real.
Yeah, holy moly, this is like a job now. Okay. How about, other than Sheffield, I got to ask you this before I skip it, is on my notes here. I got finding out the first time you made Great Britain when you didn't play ice hockey till 17.
Say that again. You cracked up then. Sorry.
The first time you found out you made Great Britain.
Yeah. Do you know the answer to this one?
No.
No, I thought you were asking me because someone had told Simsy might have told you or something. It was actually Simsy who phoned me to tell me.
I've actually stopped contacting other people to ask questions because I like to know what I'm asking. I don't like.
So I was at Kings of Leon.
You're at a concert.
And I was about 8 beers deep in the box with a load of other guys, and Simsy phoned me to say that I'd made the national team, and it was pretty good, to be fair.
Was Simsy part of the national team at that point?
I don't know whether he was or not, but Simsy can't keep a secret, can he? So that's why he'd obviously been informed. So yeah.
I think, and he's the type of guy, like, obviously Sheffield had a lot of success for a while. You got anything to say about Simsy? Because I didn't know him until I started coming out to my shed. And
you might have, from your point of view, you might know he's a bit of an idiot, but honestly, I've never known anyone who will help anyone out so much. Like from the moment I walked in the door in Sheffield to the moment I left, I have nothing but good things to say about that man. He helped me so much.
That's what so many people have said. And like when I was just in Cardiff, I had one perception until I started coming out to the shed and hearing everybody else's thoughts about him. And then I was like, huh.
Yeah. He there's no one else that cares more about Sheffield either. And he does whatever he can to make Sheffield a better place and, a better organization. And you know what, he's done a lot for me in the last few years as well with, after my wife passed away, and he's done all that, he did charity, and all the charity work he does is just, I don't know. He's amazing. I don't even know how he has spare hours in the day to do anything, if I'm honest with you. And I know a lot of people might have a complete opposite you know, thoughts and things on him, but you know what, he will do anything to and help anyone if he comes across them and stuff like that. And then
and that's what I see, and that's what I hear. And yeah, like he seems like the type of guy, I've said this recently, is that like when you're on his team, like he's going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and everybody's on his team. He's going to help everybody. He's going to be there. But then like, there's no, like, he's the same as me. Like, don't show me you're not on my team, because then when you're not on my team, you're not on my team.
Well, exactly that. And you know what? Like I got told before I got to Sheffield, as long as you keep Simsy happy, you'll do all right in Sheffield. And like, you know, like if the second you cross him, then that's it and you're done. And we saw a few players do that in Sheffield, or like if you just weren't cutting it, he would.
But that's that's just the same in life, right? Like it's with anybody. Right. That's the way it is.
Yeah, and you know what? But he's not afraid to make those decisions as well. And you know what? If you're a good person, you got along with him very, very well. If you weren't as good a person and you didn't try to do things shady, he found out about it, and that was it.
Yeah, so, and that's the way it should be. And that's how teams win. Yeah, having good people around. Mm-hmm. Okay. Picture with your kid and the trophy. I thought that was cool. What trophy was your kid in? That was the league?
Yeah, so that was the league one. So the 2 years that my sons were both born, we won the league both years. So that was pretty special because I've got a picture of both of them in a similar, you know, both sat in a cup for starters. Yeah. So
those were two different I saw two different pictures. Those were two different babies.
Yeah, pretty much.
One you're laying like on your belly, and the other one,
that was the first one. The second one with my wife in, and there was another. Yeah, that was the second child. Yeah, so that was 2 years later. So
that's really cool. That's quite the timing.
Yeah, at that point, everyone was like, "You need to have another kid so we can win another championship." So I was like, "You're all right." 2 is enough.
Yeah, 2's enough. 2's enough.
But yeah.
Well, no, it's cool that, and the moments you get with your kids on the ice, right? Like that was my favorite part of, like, at the end of hockey, and why I have such a great tie with the Devils, was taking my son out on the ice after games, and like the way the fans cheered, is like they would chant his name, like the whole arena. And it's like those memories you have, is taking your kids out on the ice is something special, isn't it?
Yeah. Like actually there's one in the background here now. Like, I don't know if you can see the photo. I might grab it in a minute for you, but
I can see a team photo and one up top left. That's the one with the baby and the trophy. I can see it. I think that's the one you sent me. Like, I'm looking at a different frame. I was looking at the one.
This was sent to me by a fan after when we beat you guys in that last game.
You shut your filthy mouth. You didn't win.
Like, you know, I got to put him on my shoulder.
Yeah, and look at the joy in his face, and man,
like that. And that was sent to me by a fan, and he's got that, you know, in his bedroom now. He absolutely
for the rest of his life, he's got that photo. Yeah,
he absolutely loves it. So those are the things that, you know, you get to look back on, and you know, he gets anywhere close to, you know, going professional or anything like that, but it's just the fact he loves it, and that's the main thing, isn't it? You know, I'll never force him to do anything. If he wants to do it, then he can do it. So
it's all if they got to have the passion for the game, and they got to want to do it. It's not like us, for all the guys that got as far as they did, it's not because their parents were forcing them to do it. It's because they loved it. They wanted to do it, right?
Yeah. They can't. Any parent that forces their kid, they'll go the other way with it eventually.
Favorite restaurant in Sheffield?
Damon's.
What's that?
It's not there anymore. It's just shut down about a year ago, and they turned it into a Weatherspoons, which can't fault, to be fair. But it's a restaurant called Damon's, and it did like steaks, and then for breakfast you could get French toast and all this kind of stuff. So
they were all day.
And on your birthday you get to eat for free. So it was good, to be fair. But yeah, it became a bit of a tradition in Sheffield on a Sunday when we've been on the road on a Saturday night. There'd be a group of guys of about 5, 6, 7 of us that would all go to Damon's for a pre-game meal on the Sunday, or like a big breakfast basically. But yeah, we had like French toast, and you know, like
pre-game meal is French toast. I don't think that I don't think you're allowed to do that in 2022 anymore.
Well, we were in 2015 and it won that year, so happy days.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. What would be your favorite things to do on an off day when playing for the Sheffield Steelers? What do you do in Sheffield on an off day?
What do I do in Sheffield on an off day?
when you were a hockey player.
I know, yeah. We would go into town to somewhere like a common room and play. There's like a bar called Common Room and play pool. Have a few beers with the boys, and that changed again from the year 1 to year 10. Like
There's
in year 1, and
I was trying to figure out if people still play pool, because I just had this conversation with someone. Like, pool was a big deal back at the start of pro.
Yeah, exactly. Like we in year 1, and year 2, like we had something called mandatory Monday, where the whole team had to go out, and if you didn't, even if you showed up for 1 beer or 10 beers, you had to, you know where you weren't going. And obviously with us being
That's how you win championships, folks.
It is. It goes a long way. They won't fully understand it until they've been there and done it. But yeah, and then as you get later on, it was, I don't know. We'd sometimes go and just have a jacuzzi and a bit of an executive in the gym and chill out. Basically, yeah, that was your days off, really. So, I'd come home.
Well, it's interesting from the start of pro to the end of pro, like the difference of what you do in your days off, right?
Yep. What are you doing day off? I'm going out and getting absolutely shit faced.
I gotta start at brunch. Yeah, I'm gonna last till about dinner, and then I'm gonna go home and go to sleep and be ready for tomorrow.
Yeah. And then when you're in your last year, it's like, I might go to the gym tomorrow and just have a nice bike ride. And
I didn't do that.
Get a massage.
I went to the playground with my teammates with a couple beers usually with the kids. That's how I ended her. That was my active recovery, was walking to the playgrounds, and then I'd carb load with the beers, and then active recovery home. Okay. Most memorable Sheffield Steeler team party you were involved in?
It was probably a Halloween party.
Always a Halloween party. Those are always the best parties. Or Christmas, but Christmas, things are starting to get a little too tense in the league and everything, right? Yeah. Halloween's where people really let their hair down.
Oh yeah, because it's still reasonably early in the season. Yeah, we had a pretty big Halloween turnout every year. Like there used to be a pub that was right downtown that would shut for us, and we just took it over on a Monday night, and obviously all the curtains were shut from the outside, and because there was some very, very dodgy costumes that you wouldn't really want to be out in the public if they were knowing what was what.
There's some interesting outfits at Halloween parties for sure. I agree. Okay, how about what do you think was the most memorable championship you won? Because you won the league 3 times, playoffs 3 times. So what was your favorite, or what was the best celebration after? Best party after a winning?
Well, for me, it was probably the year I had my testimonial, if I'm honest with you. Just because
that's the year against us.
Yeah, that's your year.
In front of me, like when you got the trophy in front of me, like that's what you mean? Really? Is that's what we're talking about? I thought we were getting along.
No,
I thought we were getting along, Mark.
I know, I'm sorry, but no, it was my testimonial as well. So for me personally, it was quite a big year, right? And
so what all goes on in a testimonial? Like what all, isn't there like dinners and stuff leading up to it or something?
So we had like all different events. So we had like a Question of Hockey, which was basically, I don't know if you saw Question of Sport when you were over there, like a TV show called Question of Sport.
No, I don't know.
No, they did it called Question of Hockey, and they just had that. I got roasted by my teammates. And I got to roast back a little bit, but not quite as much.
I heard something, actually, because there's a lot of messages these days that come in, and someone did ask me to ask you about the roasting of your testimonial, and it was something to do with, I believe someone's name was Andrew. Was that, he said, I don't know, something about your roasting party, something I was supposed to ask you about. I can't remember. Did something happen? Someone say something very inappropriate?
Well, to be fair, my best speech was at John's roast, but there was a guy, Randy came over, and when I invited him over, obviously I'm paying for his flight, right? So he's getting a free flight over, and he asked if one of his friends could come, a guy called Brad.
That's what it was. Brad, not Andrew. Brad. Yeah.
So then, like, we had the top table, and Brad's like sat on the top table. Everyone was like, "Who the hell's this guy?" Never even seen him before in our lives.
He's just a friend of.
Oh yeah, he's just Danger's best friend, and he didn't want to sit anywhere else because he didn't know anyone. So he got seats at the best head spot on the table at the roast. So yeah, that was pretty good.
Brad.
And then obviously you have the game where the roast was on the Monday, game was on the Tuesday. So yeah, it was. And then
so
I think that week
a roast, like you did a roast to Jono and to yourself. So like, I just don't know if I would enjoy a roast. I don't know if I would people telling me a bunch of mean things.
I was first in the testimonials, so I was like testing the waters, and Jono and Huey are sat there thinking, well, if that doesn't work and he doesn't make anything out of it, then we just won't do it. We'll just do something different. But the roast went down really well, actually, because Jared Adams had one in Cardiff, and Simsy had recommended it. So mine was good. And then 2 years later, we did Jono's, and Jono did the roast. Huey bottled it and didn't have a roast because he was scared he was going to get absolutely rinsed apart, I think. So,
well, I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about people saying mean things to me. I don't think I could handle it.
Yeah, it was all right. It hurt a little bit, but it was all good fun.
Yeah, I know it would be. I guess that's how we basically always talk to each other, right? In the hockey world, we're really not very nice to each other usually.
Yeah. And once that door gets shut in the locker room, it's frightening what gets said.
Well, it's like when we go out for dinners or whatever, and you get the couples. I always remember my wife saying, like, "Why are you being so mean?" I'm like, "What? It's how I talk to them."
Yeah, you gotta have thick skin if you're in a locker room.
Yeah. So I guess my next question, then, you probably already answered, but most memorable teammates would probably be that core you went through it with, right?
Yeah, definitely like that. You know, the core group of. Well, I'm probably closest now with Jono and Huey. But obviously you add into that, you've got Danger, Mona, Lehman, Rod Sarich, Leggy. You know, those are the Scott Bassett. Those are the guys that were around there for a few years, and Finner as well. He was there for quite a while. You know what? And yeah, they're the guys that are probably, you know, I spent the most time with in my career. So yeah, they're the guys that are their favorite memories and of all the favorite stories that come out.
Well, I always find that, like, for myself, I guess it was the people I won with, like, you have the biggest bond with, right? It's the teams you win the league with, or the teams you won the playoff with. I bet you those are the guys that are your closest friends.
Yeah. Like the year before, actually, when like you had Stefan Meyer on air a few weeks ago, didn't you? I think. Or...
He's a dandy. Yeah, I had him on his own, and then I had him in the clan episode.
Right. Yeah. So we actually got a good story about him when we were in Braehead on the Saturday night and in Cardiff on the Sunday. So we had
Braehead to Cardiff.
So we went from Sheffield to Braehead, played a game, and got on the bus and drove from Braehead all the way down to Cardiff and played in Cardiff on the Sunday night. So the doctor, like they'd got us like a hotel room when we got there, but we weren't arriving in Cardiff till like 8 a.m. or something like that. So the doctors had like, oh, well, if you want to have a sleeping pill, you can have a sleeping pill on the bus and it'll help you go to sleep during the night. So like I get in the alleyway on the walkway down the middle, and Steph's in the other. So we've both got our heads together like this. And we've both taken this like half of a sleeping pill. Anyway, we go to sleep, and like I'm like fast asleep. And next minute I can hear like he's banging on my head, like, "Wake up, Tomo." I'm like, "Well, what's up, mate?" He's like, "There's aliens everywhere." And I'm like, "What have you taken? I hope that was a sleeping pill." He was like, No, they're everywhere. And I was just losing. I was just lost my marbles. I didn't know what to say. Everyone else was asleep, so I couldn't even tell anyone.
So his sleeping pill worked a little better than yours, eh?
Yeah, he definitely had a better one than me.
Oh man, no, he seems like the type of guy that teams win with, though. Like, from meeting him, like he just seems like a great dude.
Yeah, that year we had a tough start to the year. We ended up winning the playoffs, but round about that time, actually, we called ourselves Con Air. You know the film Con Air?
Yeah.
Where you can take control of the plane. Well, we took control of the team with various different things were happening off the ice, and Danny Myers was a ringleader in all that. Steph was another one, like, and we were just. Yeah, we played the Con Air theme tune as our win song, and yeah, it got us a playoff championship in the end. So it was pretty good.
And it's when you got good people around, they know the way things are supposed to be. Whatever it was, I'm sure there were certain people that said, you know what, this is not the way it's supposed to be done, right?
Yeah, that is exactly it. Yeah, and we found a way, and we turned.
You need people to step up in those situations, right? Because if people don't step up, then it just You just piss it
Spirals
down
way
your
out.
leg.
Yeah, big time.
Oh, okay. I don't know what else I got about Sheffield. You got anything else to say about Sheffield before we move on?
I don't know. I don't know. For me personally, it was one of the, it was
So
the
you lived there
mainstay
10 years and then you moved away right after. And,
Well, home is Manchester, right? So
and how
I
far
moved
is away that to Sheffield?
about 45 mile.
That's it?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, that in your terms, that's not a lot, is it? Really?
No.
But no, it's about an hour and a half in a car. Which, you know what, Sheffield has been in my heart and will always be in my heart for the things that they've done and the career that they gave me and all that kind of stuff. And I've got a lot of good friends over there. My parents have a lot of good friends over there because they always used to come to the games. And you know what, it's it's a special place and a special club to play for. That's for sure. And I'm just.
So do your kids kind of like we're going to school there as well?
But Bailey, who plays hockey, he plays for the Manchester Storm Academy, but he will walk in and talk to Ryan Finnerty and say, and Finnerty will go, what do you think we'll win tonight? And he'll be like, no, Steelers are going to win when they're playing the Steelers. And he'll, like with the one game a few years ago, he was walking around the crowd. I'm like, where's Bailey gone? I look up into the Steelers fans. He's in the back row on the drum, banging the drum, trying to get them going with their singing.
So he cheers for the Steelers.
Oh, he's 100% through and through Steelers, yeah, but he plays for the Manchester Storm Academy. He'll go to the practice with the Steelers jersey on. He'll walk into the Storm locker room and they'll be like, oh, what are you doing, boys? I'm a Steelers fan, so don't worry about me. And like, he'll just tell them all. Doesn't care. Like he's, and that's, I'm proud of him for doing that, to be fair. And
you got to be your own person. Don't be like everybody else.
Both the kids were born in Sheffield. He loves the Steelers and he'll always love the Steelers, I think. But yeah, Finn always has a joke with him, and he said you can't be supporting them when you play for the academy and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of fun.
That would be funny though. But then that's the ribbing the hockey players give each other, right? He's
Getting
learning it at an early age.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually trying to train up one of my he's like my godson whose dad's the coach. And the other day I was stood off the rink and he went past with snow on his blade, and and you just tap it on the glass and it hits the people in the face. He did that to me and I was like, oh, you're going to pay for this, because he was still on the ice. I went straight in the locker room, turned his hoodie inside out, tied knots in his arms, and the same with his jog pants, like really hard, like tied them all up. He was there till about 10:30 at night trying to get the knots out of his pants, because when he came off the ice, I was like, you won't do that again to me. So you got to teach these kids young.
Well, and you know what? That's the stuff, like when we talked about the transition out of hockey, is like we lived a life where there's these pranks and there's this funny stuff that happens every day, and you're hanging out with literally 20 of your best buddies every day, and then it just stops. And then all of a sudden you're like, nothing even happened today.
Yeah, it is. And then you're just like in complete boredom and you're like going under because nothing funny's happened today. You can't really go to a colleague and tie a knot in his high vis because he just won't get it the same way you can't chirp them the same way either. No, like because you're getting a warning and you're getting the boot down from work. So
that's not allowed in the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I come out to my shed, folks, like 3-4 times a week, and people wonder why I do it so much, right? And it's like, well, all of a sudden I have funny stuff happening again. This guy didn't play hockey till he was 17, and then he played over 10 years of professional hockey, folks. Figure that out.
Yeah, well, it was good fun. I'd go back tomorrow if I could, even, losing teeth.
Everybody would, right?
Oh, what I would do to go back. I'm just now getting fat and old and drink too much beer, and I've got more chins than the Chinese phone book. So it's, it's coming in quick. I thought about putting my snood on so you couldn't see it.
It happens. I had to come out to my shed and exercise by swaying back and forth. Yeah. That's how I get exercise now. No, it's interesting, like the hockey, what it gives you, and like the friendships. I don't know. I love this so much. I didn't know you till today. Now, if we ever see each other, we know each other, can have a pint. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I just love this. Like,
connection it gives you. Yeah.
It's so fun, man. I don't know.
Small world, but you know what I mean? No, it is. Don't get too emotional on me here now, Wally.
I'm not getting emotional. I never do on here. I've never got emotional once on here.
Yeah, like I'm in the last 2 years, really, I've only really realized what hockey actually taught me. And
I agree.
I've had a lot of stuff going in the last couple of years, which everyone's probably aware of. My wife passed away, and it wasn't until that point I realized the training and the mentality of hockey, like how much it's stood me in good stead with the grieving process and all this different stuff, and dealing with the kids and doing this and work and all that stuff. Like it's
Just
you know what,
being
and
like being able to manage a lot of stuff.
yeah, and mentally trying to manage it, like it is tough. But you know what, I would never said anything, never talked about anything, and now I would talk to someone if I felt I was struggling about it all. And you know what the boys are like. We don't like to show, when you're in the locker room as well, you've got to be, you don't show any weakness and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not ashamed of crying in front of the boys now and my kids. And if I had to, I would. And if that's the way I feel, and it's good to just to make sure that everyone's all right now. I have definitely changed my views on asking my friends how they are and stuff like that. So
Well, yeah, you're right. Stop it. Now you're making me all emotional, but it's like, but seriously, it's like coming out here and talking about all this stuff with other people. Changed my life.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Like, you recognize that you were maybe struggling with something, and you thought, what can I do? And I don't know who gave you the idea, whether
it just came to me or whatever, but it was like, I was sitting here like brain spinning for months and months. Like, what am I going to do in the future? Where am I going to go? What is, how, and it's just like, and I remember being a hockey player and like, you love it so much and you want to be a part of it. And I was always thinking, I'm like, well, there's no way I ever could still stay in the game, because I don't want to be moving all over like a coach has to. Yeah. My contacts for that are in Europe. I'd like my kids to grow up at home in Canada around family. So that wasn't an option. And then you move home and you're like, okay, well, it's not an option. I don't even have contacts in the hockey world around here. Yeah. I've been gone for over 10, 15 years. And like, it's a different place. But when I thought of this, and then like, once I started doing it, I just like, I love it so much. I can't stop. It's like my wife told me last night that I'm like a crazy ex-girlfriend in high school when I talk about this.
But you know what? You found what needed to help you, and good for you that you've found that now, and you're actually connecting with guys like me that we've only ever played against each other. We've never talked to each other and basically given each other.
Like the way it started was I was asked to go on a couple other ones, and when I did it, the feeling afterwards of like getting things off my chest and like talking, like my life had been dormant about hockey for 5 years. I never talked about it. People are out here don't want to hear me talk about what I accomplished. So I just wouldn't talk about any of it. Right. I just worked and parented, and that was it. And it's like that whole life I had was just done. It was over. And now it's back, and it's like, I can be myself, and like, I can meet you guys and get more contacts. And like every time but I get to do it for everybody else. It's like, I like the memory that like my kids could listen to my career and find out about it. So I was like, geez, imagine I could do that for all my friends.
Exactly. Like, it's mega that you get to hear new stories. You get to, look back on some of the old stories that you might have forgotten about, that other guys remember. And because that's my problem. Like, I can't think of half of the stories, but then you put me with Jono and Huey, and we'll go all night talking. And
it comes back like that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what we'll do, because I did the clan episode, right? Yeah. Is why, you know what, I'm kind enough, even though you guys beat me and the Cardiff Devils by 2 points. Yeah. And it wasn't because we were hungover and lost 11-1, folks, whatever it was.
That was a few
because of that. Earlier. Yeah, it wasn't because of that, folks. But no, why don't we do an episode with you guys, like with those guys from Sheffield? And 100%. I think the stories that come back, that like it triggers you, right? Like there a lot of my life I couldn't really remember until I came out here and started talking about it.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It's good fun, and like you say, it gives you that. I feel better already after having talked to you about some of the stuff we've talked about today. Like, it just feels like I've got something off my chest today, and I've had a good day. And it's
and I honestly, I didn't know really how to bring up, like, I knew about what happened with your wife, and obviously it was kind of I think it was so, like, I don't know when it happened, but like I knew about it, and I mean, I didn't know what to say, but like it
There's-
seems like
you
you
know what?
know,
There's nothing anyone can say. You know what I mean? Like it
right.
is what happened happened, and you know what? If I can help someone who might be in my position now, then you know they're if anyone's listening, then they're more than happy. If they feel like they can reach out to me through whatever platform they want to do, and I will
Well,
try
the
and help
the
them in any
setup
way.
it looks like you've done for your children and everything you would have had to deal with that you are
Yeah,
doing as
I
well as you are. And I mean, it's a testament to you and the teammate you are and the person
yeah,
you are. So,
I appreciate that, and I also have a lot of support. I'm lucky that you know I'm at home. I'm close to Vic's parents. I'm close to my parents, and I have a great group of friends as well here at home that hate me talking about hockey generally, but they you know they've been unbelievable over the last, especially over the last couple of years since that. And you know what, like we can't stop living. You've got to keep living and moving forward and providing for your kids and also for yourself as well. So yeah,
yeah.
I would happily talk to anyone about it, you know, and if they ever need any help or they want some advice, you know, I'm all ears for that. And sometimes it's not about saying something, it's just about listening, isn't it? So
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. It's just being a good dude, right?
exactly, being a good teammate.
Yeah. And that's the shit you learn playing hockey, and you don't even realize everything you're learning. And it's guys holding each other accountable, right? You go through
Yep.
your career and like you do something stupid, the boys are gonna be like, hey, what are you
Yeah.
doing? That wasn't right.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. And then
Yeah.
you don't
Don't
do it.
do
You're like, yeah, okay.
it. Exactly. Because yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you come out the other end 12 years later and like, huh, boys taught me a lot.
You don't realize it at the time until you get out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's it's been a road, that's for sure.
It's a lot. It's a
Lots and lots of good memories. So yeah. I
Yeah,
love
there's a lot of
every
twists and turns of the road, but like for when you see a guy that stayed on the same team for 10 years, those are the great teammates. The guys that stay on a team that long,
yeah.
they are solid dudes. And it doesn't matter what team it was or what league. If you're playing on a team for that long, it
You're doing
means you're a
something right.
solid person.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what, you know, we held other people accountable as well when they came to us, like you said. We
Yeah.
had a role as well, you know. It might not have been the scoring 40 goals a year. I was lucky if I scored 2 goals a year, but I had another job to do, you know, hold people accountable inside the locker room if they were taking the piss or not doing what they were supposed to be doing. Like I would say something then, and the same with Huey and Jono and all those guys. That was one thing we were all over. So, and it worked. It did work. So,
Yeah. No, and that's what teams need, right? That's what everybody needs.
that is it. Exactly.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say at the end, because I don't have any sponsors for this pod, so I'm going to be my own sponsor. aleshockeytales.com, folks. You can buy clothes now, apparently, which is hilarious. Thank you, Sean Collins, for everything you've done for me, because this is all getting made in the UK. Shipping is all in the UK. I'm not really involved, so thank you, because I'm kind of busy. And the Sundin jersey's up for raffle, as well as a 2 Ales and Hockey Tales jersey. And the money for the Sundin jersey, 50%, it's 50-50 is going to Toronto Sick Kids. So yeah, buy tickets and help support the charity, right?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
But you got anything else before we shut her down?
No, thank you very much for inviting me. It's been, like I said, been the best part of my day.
Oh, that's that. That just warms my heart, because like when I reach out to a guy like you, it's kind of like a cold call, but not really, because like I don't know you, but like,
and you know what? When I started following you, I was like, I'd go on there. One, if he ever asked, I'd always go on. And you know what? When you put that call in a couple of days ago, yeah, it was.
Things happen quick.
Love reminiscing some good times, and nice to get to know you. And if you're ever over in England and Manchester and you want to go for a beer and maybe go watch a Man City game, then you let me know.
Oh, it'd be awesome. Someday maybe there'll be like a whole UK tour the Waltons will go on, right?
Well, you can stop off in Manchester and I'll look after you, that's for sure.
Well, no, seriously, thank you so much for coming on, because the only way I can do this is when people make the time for me and are willing to come on and want to come on. And I mean, for me, it helped me. The reason I got into this was because I wanted to do it for my friends. And now I can do it for a whole bunch of people. And it's like, we would battle against each other, and it was every game felt like life or death. But then like you come down to like 5 years later and it's like, well, that was just a game. And yeah, we lost 2-1 or they won 3-2. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, we worked hard.
And it was Bouncy's fault because he let it in. And
yeah. Bouncy. No, Bouncy's doing well though. I saw he just won their first game back, and
he's doing well. He's fair play to him. He's a hell of a goalie, that's for sure, isn't he? So
he's really done well for himself, and to see it like, you know, like it was his first year as a starter with me, or first year in Cardiff as a starter, and to see what he grew into is something else.
Great sense of humor and some funny jokes as well. He's a beauty, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. And if there's any Cardiff Devils fans listening, January 28th, you're allowed back in the arena, folks. Buenos for the boys. Jack, Evan, and Colby, episode 115. Throw Buenos on the ice at Sam Duggan for my boys from my under 11 team, please. Thank you. And thank you for coming on. I hope your boys like listening to it. And let's set up a Steelers call with, I'll get Huey on too, but we'll set up a Steelers call with that core group, eh?
Let's do it. It'll be a good time.
Let's not talk about 2014-15 anymore. This has been another episode of 2 Ales, 0 Ales, and Hockey Tales with Tomo and Wally.